Wgop. What's going on, Pittsburgh? In this video, we're going to hear from representatives of Black Political Empowerment Project, Bpep, and Corporate Equity and Inclusion Roundtable, CEIR, Working Group about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Could no longer not comment on the constant and vicious national and local attacks on the term diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can we say that? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what that term represents to Blacks and other marginalized people, and what it means for the nation. For my childhood growing up down the street in the Hill District of Pittsburgh, I was always taught in my civics and social studies classes that this nation stood for equality and equal opportunity for all of its citizens, regardless of race, creed, color, ethnicity, religion, or status in life. The fact is, this nation has never accomplished that great goal, and with the current political climate, probably never will, at least in the foreseeable future. This reality, to many of us, is sad, a sad reality, unsettling, troubling, and in spirit, un-American. The term diversity, equity, and inclusion has been made a boogeyman under the current national administration and echoed in recent legislation introduced into the legislative halls of Pennsylvania to limit diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in public universities and government agencies, arguing that they promote so-called reverse discrimination or political bias. Give me a break. This is why those of us who have assembled this morning are crying out in our own ways about the continued onslaught of this bedrock principle of America of seeking equal opportunity for all, and why we seek the end to that onslaught both locally and nationally. Today, we ask that leaders of corporations, companies, universities, colleges, and major nonprofits to not turn their back on what many of you have put into place, implemented, and supported over the years, and particularly following the death of George Floyd, which occurred on May 25th, 2020 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which brought about, though apparently very temporarily, a new level of consciousness in this country about ongoing disparities between Black and white people in this country. For a moment, civil and human rights activists and regular citizens felt we had new friends and new partners in our multi-decade efforts to find true equality, fairness, and opportunity throughout this nation. Apparently, there are those who now feel that these goals have been met within a mere 4+ years. Obviously, such an interpretation of history would be foolish. Disparities, and in some cases serious disparities, for Blacks and other marginalized people in this country remain a reality, not a myth. This is not the time to move away from these programs, policies, and initiatives that have continued to narrow the gaps of equality and opportunity over the years. We're asking for these leaders, both locally and nationally, to not be intimidated by anyone, regardless of their position, to dissuade these leaders from what they know in their hearts to be right, to show their humanity, to show their absolute commitment to fairness and equal opportunity, and to the ever-existing moral case to accomplish meaningful and effective efforts to help this city, this Commonwealth, and this nation to meet its oft-stated commitment to making the United States of America what it should be for all of its citizens. In the Black Political Empowerment Project's Corporate Equity and Inclusion Roundtable SCORE, Strategies for Creating Opportunities Through Retention and Engagement Playbook, formerly the Bpep CEIR Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Playbook, We state now that how the goal of leveling the playbook and the play field has not at all been met in the Pittsburgh region. On June 10th, 2010, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reported that the Pittsburgh region was ranked dead last on indicators of racial and economic parity in comparison to 39 other regions in the country with regard to the Black working poor and African American children. Also, according to the Pittsburgh Regional Workforce Diversity Indicators Report of 2015, African Americans in Pittsburgh were reported to earn lower salaries than whites in every sector of work. We also state in our playbook that disparities have not just been with the poorer sections of our population. According to a 2020 report by the National Association of Law Placement, minorities accounted for 10.23% of law firm partners and 26.48% of law firm associates nationwide. However, in Pittsburgh, minorities accounted for only 2.88% of the 313 partners and 10.81% of law firm associates based on information submitted by local law firms. It's important to note also that Pittsburgh had the lowest percentage of minority partners of the 36 cities represented in the study. Locally, the poverty rate for the Black population